Hi, welcome to the small shed. This Saturday I'm doing a bit of tidying up at the end of the shed, but sadly not on the inside, it's on the outside. See you in a minute. Now this is something that's been delayed from probably about July, August time, when I wanted to sort out all of the undergrowth on the end of the shed that's got a little bit out of hand and all in the wrong place. We planted I think it was a honeysuckle that I put up the outside of the shed when it was first built, and it raced up to the top rather than left me with stuff on the way up, and I should have stopped it once or twice on the way up and got some side shoots running, but it got away and it's all at the top, growing up and over the top, growing into the eaves, growing into the gutters. Wanted to do it earlier in the year, as I say, but unfortunately we then had the blackbird who moved in to build a nest up there, so I had to hold it until then. So today I'm sort of evicting one tenant who actually has gone and destroying their home, but we're going to put another home up in its place because we've had a bug hotel sitting around since Christmas that we were given, that I want to put up on the end of the shed so that we can give somebody else a home instead. So let's have a look and see what's going on the outside. So you can see the problem. It seems that the thing has raced up the side of the shed and it's just spread out like a canopy over the end, and it's not giving anything particularly attractive to the end of the shed, but more importantly it's growing into the structure up there underneath all the eaves, the metal cladding, and there's a piece I found that had grown in and along the ridge and popped out further along. So it was something that had got to be dealt with and really needed just to be cut right the way back to the floor. It's a bit brutal, but hopefully it will come back stronger in the spring. The bird's nest was carefully removed. They're a work of art when you think that this is just one or two birds with twigs and spit and mud creating something like that they can build and bring up their offspring in. But that's gone for this year, and we probably won't see them back there next year because obviously the undergrowth won't have grown back up. The problem with this sort of thing is the longer you leave it, the worse it gets, and it starts to do physical damage because as the stuff grows it pushes things apart. This is probably 3 years growth overall that's causing the problem. It's also pulling some of the trellis off the end of the shed as well where it's pushing out. So there's a bit of remedial work needed there, and it had grown into the gutters, and another good chance to get up and clean out the gutters from the leaves that come down as well, so a bit of maintenance all round really. Fairly soon we've got quite a few trugs of debris. And the immediate advantage is I've already got a huge amount more light in the shed. I mean, the windows need a clean, but it's surprising how much more light's coming in already. Really, after getting on for 5 years now since it was done, the actual paint finish on the shed is remarkably good. I might take the opportunity in the spring before stuff grows up too much to get the end painted while I can before it grows back again, but it really is pretty good. So this is the bug house. It was a present last Christmas, I think, so it's well time it went up. Now it's very nice and probably much nicer than I would have made, but there is one problem, if you like, and that is that it's made out of softwood, but I suspect that the weather will get at the top part. You know, rainfall on that getting wet all the while, I think that will rot out before anything else. So what I'm going to do is just cut a little bit of this dye bond to do an up and a down, spray it dark green or whatever, and pop it on top. Won't be seen, but it'll just keep the weather off that, and then everything will drip off from there. So I need to mark out a piece which is let's have a look how big. 110 mil. Make it 115 so it just sticks out slightly in front, and 460 with a bend in the middle. So that's got the top done, so it should be waterproof now. Just need to put I think I'll put a couple of pins in that just to hold it, or a screw either side. Won't need a lot, and then we can just give it a coat of paint. Time for paint. Okay, so that's got us the world's first bug house with a metallic green roof, I suppose, but that should at least tone it down a bit from the white that it was before. So I'm just going to strip the masking tape off it and put the little bracket on the back that holds it onto the building. And I'll be ready to put it up. I just thought that screw that I took out was one that I put in that was too small, but actually the force of the stuff growing and probably the rocking as well, I don't know, has just snapped the screw off. So we've repaired that, taken the top trellis off so I can fit the house in properly, but I think I can still get it to fit roughly one over the window, so we'll get this up next. Putting it back up was fairly straightforward because it's just one screw. One of the most useful tools I've got that I hardly ever use, if you like, it's one of those things it's good to have, and that's the screwdrivers I got when I was fitting the kitchen cabinets, which have got an incredibly long shaft on them, and for jobs like that they're just ideal. It's the sort of thing you use once every 2 or 3 years, but when you do, you're grateful for it. Bit of readjustment on the trellis to make it fit, and we're ready for the stuff to grow back and hopefully have a bit more controlled pruning this time. Right, so that's got the bug house installed. We put some more shrubby, low growing stuff along the front to fill in that bit. Cut the wisteria, the clematis and the honeysuckle right back, so I can control that going up there a bit better. Given that hydrangea a haircut. So hopefully now we'll have a decent fill in along there of plants next year in the spring. Probably won't get anything much flowering next year because we've butchered it so much, but at least it's cleared all the problems away from the eaves and I can keep it under a bit more control. So we're just giving it a water, and hopefully that's got it all ready to get going again in the spring. Right, I think that's been a successful morning's work. We've had about 4 or 5 trucks of stuff come off the shed. Hopefully we've stopped the ravages of time from growing stuff into the shed, and I think we've got the bit out the ridge that was growing all the way along and out the side of the ridge piece. Whether or not I may in the spring give it a quick touch up with some more of the shed paint. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll see if I can get in and get at it before the stuff starts growing. It probably doesn't need it this year. It probably would need it next year, but it might be worth just getting that in panel done. At the moment I can just unscrew the trellis, pull them back slightly, get the paint done, and hopefully it won't disturb too much, but we'll see what happens in the spring. So I hope the video was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next week. We'll be doing something different in the shed. See you then. Bye!